People who let their mom count to 0. What happened after? This is Reddit. Not a Ouija board. Well, I'm currently typing this from my dungeon. Please send help. I don't have much time. Oh shit. Here she comes. Help. Note, this is a joke. Please don't call 911. I did get my ass beat with the shankla though. I never got in trouble. But my sister did. She let my mother count to 0. She just got shouted at. My sister ran upstairs crying. I got a privilege taken away. After that would come immediate buyer's remorse. I'd do whatever it was she had wanted me to do in the first place. Cry. And beg. And I never, ever got her to reverse her decision. My mom's a tough cookie. And it took me way too long to catch on, lol. I guess I wasn't exactly the brightest child. Do that to my wife. Ends with tickles. My grandma was the sweetest woman in the world. Until you did something stupid. We grew up in the South. And she had this biggest weeping willow tree in the front yard. She would prolong the experience by making us, me and my 2 brothers, go pick our own weapons of torture from the willow tree and clean the leaves off. She called them switches. Often. She would have me go pick the switch from the tree instead of my brothers. I was the youngest, she died when I was only 6 or 7. And I didn't understand that longer willow vines equals more pain. So I'd pick the longest vines possible. 'Cause I enjoyed the sound they made when I swung them through the air. She could crack those willow vines off your ass like a damn bullwhip. If any of us laughed at our brother getting it, she'd always say, "I'll give you something to laugh about," and proceed to alternate blows between us. We didn't find it funny anymore after that usually. Bold of you to assume that they are alive to tell their story. Your parents counted? Pussies. My mom started at 0. I was an absolute tool when I was about 16. And my mom pulled the counting method on me for the first time in like 10 years. I defied her because I thought I was so cool. She never hit me. But she did start telling me everything I've done to break her heart. And man, I became a better person after that. I hope I'm making her proud. I wish I never hurt her. She is an absolute saint. Everything goes black and the last thing I see is my mother's slipper speeding toward me. She reset me to the factory settings. Shit escalated back from 0 to 100 real quick. It went to 0 once thinking I could be a smart ass and I saw the stars and stripes. Never pulled that ever again. Tried it once. She gave a defeated sigh. Then chuckled. Then she said something like, "You're getting too old." That was the day I became a man. I'll never forget my 32nd birthday. Can someone please explain what is going on? I woke up in the back of a wagon heading to Skyrim. The Shankla. She smiled and embraced me. "You passed the test," she said. "You are a man now." The next day I woke up and I was a plumber with 20 years experience. Short story time. Raised in an Asian household. Near Tiger Mom, all that stuff. Can't even remember what it is exactly I did to set her off, but she turns on her usual rage face and starts staring me down. Next thing I know, she tells me to go to her room and grab her leather belt and that I have 5 seconds to get it or else shit is gonna happen. For the first time in my life, I decided to take a stand. First I told her I didn't want to because I'll just get hurt, but the countdown continued and by the time she reached 1 I laid down a flat and calm no. She tried to hide it, but I can tell she was absolutely stunned. You know that saying, "I wasn't thinking that far ahead"? If you were to translate that into a facial expression, then you'll get her face at that moment. After about another 5 seconds of silence, she just told me to go to my room. I learned 2 things that day. It might not always pay off, but it's always better to try and stand up for yourself. Lock your doors because the fight ain't ever over. She threw a flashbang into my room, then proceed to whip me with her belt. Did I mention she was military? She was bluffing. But only the first time. Moms never get to 0. There's fractions out there you can't even imagine. Wooden spoon impact. Edit, I see a lot of people asking if I'm Italian, Irish or even Polish. Nope. American. But the art of the wooden spoon was taught through many generations in our family. I'm just thankful I never got the belt. Not my mother. Because she rarely disciplined me and my siblings. But my grandma. Oh no. When I went to 0, I got her classic little old Asian lady move, a sock filled with pennies thrown at me at speeds I never thought possible. Shit hurted. Ask my oxygen tank. Am I the only one whose mom counted to 3? Oh Lord, she comin'. WTF. Who counts to 0? Everyone knows when mom counts to 3 life is over. But if she gives you a 2.5 you may have a chance if you move fast. She chased me and I pallet stunned her. No one who let their mom get to 0 is around to tell the tale. Weaklings. My mother would count after I was already hooped to give me time to stop crying or I'll be hooped again. Slapped in the face. Dumped out of wheelchair. Dragged outside by my hair and locked in the front yard for 4 hours in Arizona heat. Told to drink from hose if I was thirsty till my stepdad got home and let me back inside, and helped me up. CPS was called after talking to therapist about it. They did nothing and mom took me out of therapy and filed formal complaints against the therapist. I was 13. Asian mom, so you have chosen death. I don't know, I have no recollection of anything after that through the following week. The Big Bang. The doctor diagnosed her with dyscalculia. My mom went from 0 to 60. Got my arse hooped. Array out of bounds exception. I had my sister's Hello Kitty belt imprint left on my ass. She's currently on 1/125899906842624. I'll let you know if she ever gets there. This is Alex's mother here posting. I'm posting on his behalf as I counted to 0. He did not survive. You guys got a countdown? I got instant death. I used to not know what would happen when I counted to 10. My son has let me get there once. And it ended with me literally wrestling him into his pajamas and him going to bed without getting to read any books. He was very upset, and I felt like a terrible person, but he hasn't let me go past 7 since that day. I gotta say. The last time my mom ever tried to spank me I dove right between her legs. Knocked her over. And ran like a fucking wild hog. I guess she realized then that she was too old for this LOL. I'll never know, she got to 7 and. Being the resident smart ass I said oh cool. Showing off again. Mom. That went real well for me. I'm typing this from the grave. This is what happened. I stupidly said wow I didn't know you could count and she beat the soul out of me. I saw everything that had ever happened in any place ever all at the same time. I saw every great extinction event in reverse and the thunderous slaps had fucking reverb. She beat me like a sexually frustrated teen beats their meat. She hit me so hard I saw new colors. Her grip was like a jaguar's jaws on a gazelle's neck. There was no escape. 3 2 1 0. The sound of a belt coming undone through the loops of pants frightened me. Most memorable was getting slapped. Pulled by my hair into my room. And then locked in for an unknown period of time. They installed a lock on my door that meant they could lock me in. Which they did. Every night. Then they wondered why I had bedwetting problems. Child abuse happened and life of alcoholism started. Till a lot of people's parents abuse them. I had 4 bones broken. Few bruises and I am missing couple of teeths. You are fucking done followed by my entire name. With emphasis on my middle. Followed by an ass beating I still remember 15 years later. Asterisk the chase of a lifetime that ended in a red hot posterior. Asterisk. You know what a switch is. And I'm not talking about Nintendo. She slapped the soul out of my body and it ricocheted back in me. Half of my respiratory organs were destroyed. She yelled my name real loud. It hurt until 2005. It wasn't really my mom but more of my dad. He will count from 3 down, and when I started being a print I will sit there and stare blankly at him. When he made it to 0 he started to take off his belt, and after that, well, there is a reason I was the fastest runner in my class. Alright. I'm coming in late here, but this reminded me of the time I went the distance with my mom. My whole life we've rarely argued, and during my entire upbringing we only had a few actual fights. All of which were 100% my fault. The point I'm making is that my mom is a really sweet, genuine person who did an amazing job raising 2 boys on her own. When I was 12 I had a bad day and got home in a mood. I wasn't quite looking for a fight per se. But I was being a crabby, snappy, negative jerk. Mom put up with it for a while and then had enough. I can't recall the catalyst, but she wanted me to do something and I refused. So the count came. 3, 2. And I interjected. 1 bitch. There was a stunned silence for a moment and then she looked at me with rage in her eyes. I am sorry. I pleaded, but I had crossed a line and punishment was coming. She moved so fast, like a blur, and I was frozen. I was taller than her, but she scooped me up, thrust me in a chair and told me to wait there. Her voice had both ice and heat. How is that possible? She came back with a bar of ivory soap which she jammed into my mouth. It was gross, with high notes of bitter soap taste but also a strange sickly sweetness that made me want to gag. And that's how I know that Dr. Pepper tastes like Robitussin with ivory soap. A splash of prune juice and carbonated water. I think I got grounded as well, but the fear she instilled really did the trick. I died. A thrashing with the thickest, heaviest leather belt she owned. Happened all too often. The bruises fade but memories last forever. I have 2 kids of my own now, and in 13 years of parenting haven't resorted to violence once. Thanks for watching.